How's it? I'm going to show you a little bit about how to use iMovie when working with film and editing your film. First thing you want to do is go to iMovie Preferences. And in Preferences, start with General. You want to make sure you show the advanced tools. Also display your hours, minutes, and seconds to be more specific. Show play, exit full screen, browser. You can show the dates, that's important. If you film in different dates, it arranges it better for you. Show the clip badges, that helps. Stabilizer, really important, especially for those of you guys who have shaky hands. Fine-tune tools, that will come in handy as well. In our video, now 30 frames per second is what they use for like TV. So, but if you're doing more film style, you want to do more of a movie look, 25 frames. It's going to be a little bit of a slower look. Going to be a lot better. Import video as, you can just use that as the default unless you want to go full original size. And then fonts. This you can like basically choose the kind of fonts you want to use for your film. So you can click on the arrows and then click on the font that you maybe want to use. So if I want to use Baghdad, notice now I have Baghdad font, and maybe I don't want the brown, maybe I want a blue. I can go ahead and click that, and you can also change your colors here with your gray sliders, and you can do your color picker and get exactly the color that you're looking for. So I'm going to choose like a more periwinkle color, and then you can have more customizable fonts. If you want to use iMovie and import videos, go to Import Movies, and then go ahead and click on your clips. Now you're going to hit Create New Event, and then I would name it maybe the title. So if my movie is called Happy Hallway, maybe that's what my new event is going to be called. And if you optimize, you can go ahead and use large. Unless you want really big files and original, same quality, but I'm going to keep it with large because that's efficient for what I'm doing today. I like to move the files so that otherwise it'll spend a lot of time copying them. But if you want to have a duplicate copy, which may be good in case you lose it, you may want to copy the file. So I'll hit import, and what it will do is it will import my files. See, it says Happy Hallway, it tells the date when I imported it, and then here's the clips. Now let's say you have images you want to import because maybe you want like a still image with a Ken Burns effect. It's pretty easy to do. You just click on the image from your folder, just drag it into where you want it to go, and then let's say you want it in the beginning, just drag it in and it'll automatically plop in there. Let's say you want to import a video and it's not importing, like you go to File, Import Movies, and it's just grayed out. Notice I put Import Movies and you can't do a JPEG picture because that's not a movie, it's a picture. But let's say one of these was grayed out because it's a different format. It's like a weird format for video. No problem. Just open Handbrake, just spotlight search on the top right of your Mac for Handbrake, and if you don't have it, it's a free download. Just go to Source, find that file, hit Open, and then you're going to go ahead and choose MP4 file, and then you can choose your quality. I would just choose same quality, constant size, and then just hit Start. Oh, and make sure you hit Browse, like where it's going to save to, because that's important so you can find it after it's done. What's really important is that you go through your clips and organize them. So let's say your film is in Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and let's say this is going to be more of the establishing shot right here. Okay, so I may want to click this shot here, and if you click on it, notice it does part of the clip. Command A does the whole clip, and then I can choose. Let's say I definitely want to use that. What I can use is these stars, mark selection as favorite, or the F key, and what that does is adds that green border on there. Okay, so if I have a clip that I don't like, I can actually hit the X and it will get rid of it for me. If I made a mistake, I can hit Command Z and it undoes it for me. If I want to organize my clip, so let's say I want this to be, let's say I want to be a more beginning clip. So let's say I'm going to use this as more my intro. What I can do is click here and then hit keywords here, and now I can hit keywords. So for example, let's say I want this as my Act 1. Okay, and then I can hit add to clip. So now notice Act 1 is there too. And let's say I wanted this as Act 1 too. Hit Command A, and I can choose Act 1. Let's say I wanted to label all my establishing shots. Okay, I can also go in there and add multiple entries for those. So I would put in those keywords. Now, if you click on here and put show and favorites only, notice it filters it only to the favorites. You can also filter it by only those keywords. So it's a really good idea to help you organize for your Act 1, Act 2, 3, or your locations, so you can do a better job of editing. Okay, so I'm going to hit all clips. And by the way, if you do reject a clip, you won't delete it. It just won't be visible, and you can always recover it by hit rejected only. So utilize that. Most people don't. And you can of course do the scale. If you have a lot of clips, you might want to go here. If you don't have a lot, you can use your measure, and this is you can see a little bit more footage per frame. Now let's say I have my moving clip here. So as you notice, it automatically does a Ken Burns effect for my image here. If I don't want that Ken Burns effect, I can hit, for my picture, hit the crop button. I can hit fit, okay? And then I can position it to where I want. Now, I forgot to mention, when you create a new project, you hit Command N for new, and then you want to choose either standard or widescreen. Preferably widescreen, because all the movies these days are widescreen, especially for your computer monitors or flat screen TVs. Standard is more like a TV screen. So I'm going to choose widescreen. Okay, and I'm going to hit create. So now I'm going to start dragging my clips in. So I'm going to start with that establishing shot. I'm just going to, I can scrub to where I want it to. Now if you notice, I can kind of hear when I scrub the noise background. If I don't want to hear that annoying background, you can basically click on this sound icon, and that sound will go away, so you don't have to put up with that. So what you can do is I'm going to click, and if I don't want all of that, if I just want maybe a second of that, I can trim only the part I want, and then I can click and then just drag it into my first spot. If you click on it, you'll notice it says it's 1 second, 25 seconds. If I want it longer, you might have to go in here and put more into it. So I could delete that clip and then put a longer clip in here. And you can always, and again, here's down here to see how more frames per second. And of course, you can come in here and then click and highlight the part you don't want and trim it later on if you don't want. And you notice that bar, notice the orange bar is the whole frame. That's because it's all being used. And if I delete that, now this part's not being used. You want to be very organized with your clips. So if this is, let's say you're doing like Act 1, Act 2, or maybe it's in chapters. Let's say this is the beginning of Act 2 or Scene 2. What you can do is control click on the clip, and then if you scroll down this list, you probably can't see it, but and you hit add comment marker or add chapter marker. If you hit add chapter marker, it says 1. So this could be maybe my first, like Act 1. And then I could do Act 2, Act 3. Or if you want to break it down even more, you can do Scene 1, Scene 2, Scene 3, Scene 4 of Act 1, and then start over to the different clips. And if you just double click, you could change it. So if you want to do Roman numerals instead, that works as well. Another thing I like is trim at playhead. So let's say I only want about half this clip. If I position my cursor here and I hit trim at playhead, it's going to cut half of that out. Again, here's one clip. I want half, trim at playhead, and now half of it is gone. So that can be very useful. If you want to add a freeze frame, so notice how this moves. Let's say I want to freeze it. Just position where you want to freeze it, control click, scroll down, you can't see it, but it'll say add freeze frame, and then you can choose how long this frame will stay there. So if you have a basketball and you have a shot, you could freeze the shot and then do a narration or something to go along with that freeze frame. Sometimes I have people say, hey, I moved all my footage to this project, but I need the original. Where is it? I need a copy of it. If you go in your clip either here or here, and then if you control click, you can hit reveal in Finder, and that way you can easily find, it'll bring up where that file is. And then iMovie has a lot of good shortcuts, and if you're doing video editing, it's all about the shortcuts, because you don't want to spend so much time on the editing. You want to do quick shortcuts to make your editing time as most efficient as possible. Hit Command 1. You'll notice that it brings out the sound effects. So if you need quick sound effects, Command 1. 6 will put you in play mode so you can play your whole movie. Command 7 will play your events, okay? And Command 6 will play what's on your timeline for your film. And then if you hit Command 8, this is the view. It'll make your editing view much bigger. And again, when you're editing, I wouldn't leave these things open. Just use your shortcuts. You shouldn't have to click, but just use your shortcuts and use your editing here, and put it on the bottom and have your events up here. So if you hit Command 9, it makes it about even. In Command 0, it gives more spacing to the top than to the bottom. So those are some really creative number shortcuts to help you. If you hit Command I, it'll bring up this record button, and it'll allow you to record yourself. Command T, of course, is to put in your text. Command N is if you want a new project, so that may be helpful for Command N. Command B is really useful. So here I'm going to go to Command 8 so I can see more of my timeline, and then if I want to like cut something, I can position it where I need to and hit Command B. Okay, and what that does, it just cut that footage out. Okay, so again, here I have 2 seconds worth of this building. Let's say I wanted this first part out. I position where I want it, Command B, boom, that first part is gone. If you want to move along certain clips, if you hit the arrow keys, left arrow will take you to the beginning of the clip. If you hit if you hit shift arrow, okay, you can get exactly the amount of space that you want. If you hit Command Shift S, it'll split the clip. So let's say I want to split the clip right here, Command Shift S, and we just have 2 splits. So this is important if you want to do 2 different effects, not to the whole clip, but only to part of the clip. And it just did the clip. Notice the audio didn't split as well. Now, let's say I inserted only a part of a clip. So let's say it's only of him walking in and maybe just walking out. And I drag that in to my timeline. Now let's say I wanted to, let's say you wanted more of a certain clip. If I put my playhead here, hit Option and then the left arrow, okay, you can add more of the footage from the original clip that you maybe didn't have. That's Command and the left arrow to add to the left, right to add original footage to the right. Now if you have footage that is already at the beginning, you can't add more footage from the beginning because there isn't any. So again, selection is really important. Sometimes you don't want to like click and select. So here what I'm doing is holding down the shift, using the right arrow key to make my selection, left arrow key to come back, so you can get more precision that way. If you let go of the shift key, you can move your selection over with the right and the left arrow. When you're all done, you could hit Command E to export it out, and you'll have a lot of good export options. If you want to get full screen and preview it, you hit Command G and that'll go full screen. Now let's say you wanted to get the precision editor and you don't want to try to click on this little arrow and go. Just hit Command and the / key, and notice that it automatically selected that transition, and now we have our transition to work with right here. You can also use the forward and backslashes. If you use the backslash, it will take you to the very beginning of your film. If you select a certain clip and hit the forward backslash, it'll take it to the beginning of just that clip. Again, right now I have auto skimming off. To take that on and off, Command K. So now when I scrub through, you can actually hear that sound. But again, that's kind of annoying, so I'm going to hit Command K and take that off. K as in kite. Also, if you hit Command Shift M, you can mute that video clip so you won't be able to hear it. So, and then Command Shift M again to take that mute off, and now you can hear. So if you have a lot of dialogue and you don't want to concentrate on that dialogue, just mute it right now. You don't have to like delete it or hide it. Just mute it. If you hit Command Y, it'll bring up all the comments of that section. So it tells you when it was created, and also what's important was these tags. Notice this says Act 1 establishing shot. Those were from our keywords right here that we put in. So if you're like, oh, what was that one? Right there, it shows it. One thing I do recommend again is make sure it's consistent. So if you have a bunch of clips like this and you want them all to be a similar look and feel to how they look, for example, if I want this to be color corrected, and I think color correction is very important. I mean, even now while I'm filming, I'm using this little light here to give a little bit more of a contrast shadow. Even this mic to give it a little bit more sound. Just the little things really make a difference. And so I definitely recommend hitting some color in there. So what you can do is if you double click on the clip that you want and you hit video, you'll see what looks like to be your color settings. Now, if it's kind of dark, you can bring up the exposure, but what it's going to do is it's going to add a lot of grain. So try not to do that too much at all, okay? Same thing with brightness. I'll bring it up a little bit higher, but it might be overexposed. But try not to get too much grain in there, okay? The contrast is really good, you know? Makes it more defined. And again, with contrast, it depends what kind of film that you're looking for. If it's more of a serious film and action, you might want more contrast. It's more like more love and romantic and relationships, you might want less contrast. So it's more what's the word, like soft. It looks at more soft. Now saturation, sometimes people like this effect. It's like not black and white all the way to the left, but not oversaturated, but not in the middle. It's a little bit maybe at 45%, so it's a little bit of a dull effect. Some people really like that effect and it can go well. This white point, sometimes it's kind of like the white balance. Let's say the lighting is giving off a weird tint to the room. What you can do is you can click on what's white. So let's say this little sign here is supposed to be white. I can click on that white sign and that will set everything to the white. This is especially good for indoors because a lot of times you get this orangish look. So if you can find like something white in the room and set that, or I guess you could try to change your white point, that will really help. If it's too warm, you might want to add a little bit more blues to it. If it's too blue, you might want to add a little red to it to add a little bit more warmth to it. And again, it depends on the type of film. You might want a warm, cuddly feel film, or you might want a more action, cold film. So coloring definitely will help you out in those categories. Moving on to more the clip effects that you can do, I definitely recommend stabilization. Hit stabilize clip, and for short clips it won't take long, for long ones it will. So I would hit stabilize, go eat a cookie, come back. So now that we got the color that we want, now and notice it shows that effect, that little sun, which is the color. So I'm going to drag that in here. And notice that hand, that means it's been stabilized a little bit better. But notice there's a little bit of grain in there. That's why we don't want to put too much in there. Notice that it was cropped. Click on the clip and hit cropped. Notice that it cropped it for us. If you didn't like that crop, you can move the crop to where you want. That's why you want to make sure, if you have the old school cameras and they only film that and they don't film widescreen, when you film you want to make sure that you leave an extra space to get cropped off. So in this case, I'm going to crop it maybe around there. Again, make sure you get rule of thirds all the time for your composition, unless you do symmetry. And then I'll hit done. And now I get a little bit more effect here. Now, when I apply my sounds, right now I don't want sounds. Okay, it's just an annoying background sound. So what I'll do here is I will click audio adjustments, and I have a lot of good audio adjustments. So now if this was a clip that I needed sound, You could choose ducking, which basically means it'll focus more on this clip if there was other clips in this, like picture-in-picture or other tracks. It will make this predominant. You can also fade in, fade out, which is really good. Normalize will help normalize the sound of the clip to make it more normal. And then, of course, you can change the volume here. So those are some things that you can do for your clip. If you control click on the clip, you can click on, let's see, detach audio. And when you detach audio, that you can basically see that clip now, and then you can really pull down that audio adjustment here. And if you want, you can just mute that. And if for sure you're not going to use that, you can just delete that clips and hit delete, and then that sound is gone, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. And if you're going to do a narration voiceover, like one sunny day at school, you know, you would hit this little record button in the middle here by the crop button, and you would just do a voiceover on this clip, and it should record nice and dandy for you. If you're gonna, let's say you want to do a freeze frame. Notice how it's moving just a little bit, and maybe that's too annoying to you. Maybe you want to just do a freeze frame and do a Ken Burns effect. Just click on the image, get it to where you want it to be freeze, control click, and then all you gotta do is hit add freeze frame. Okay, and it adds a freeze frame for you. Now notice that it's not moving anymore instead of that. So then I can just delete the parts I don't like and then keep it there. So that's freeze frame. Some more options that you have is, and again, freeze frame is below this detach audio, below here. What we can do is add some text. So in this case, sometimes I like to add my titles, you know, on the film instead of black. A lot of times you want to avoid some of these effects, like these text effects, because sometimes people will see this cool fancy iMovie effect and be like, oh, I know that was made in iMovie, and you're like, yep, it was. And then there's nothing wrong with that, but you want to be a little bit different. You want to be a little bit unique and use things that people haven't seen before. Okay, I'm going to choose the lower text, so hit T for text if you haven't already. Click on lower, drag it over, put it somewhere towards the front end of your clip. It should stack on top, and it'll tell you how long it is. I'm going to title my film Happy Hallway. Just something random and unique. Okay. Now, for my text, you have a lot of text options. So you can go up here in text, show fonts. Now in your fonts, if you hit iMovie front panel, you'll notice these are our different font options. And again, you have more options if you go back into, remember, file or iMovie preferences, and then you can change your fonts. Okay. But I'm going to choose this one. You can choose your color by selecting the color that you want right here, and then you can select how big it is right here, and you can align it. So if you want it more left aligned or right aligned, you can choose that right there. Also, I don't like the outline, so you'll see this little outline here. I'm going to click that, and the outline will kind of go away, and then I can go bold if I want. So I like that more better. But again, it's up to you in terms of the style that you choose and all that. You can also go back to text and make it smaller and even bigger from here. You can align it here, do your kerning if needed, and baseline and all that. So, and then you can just go ahead and hit the space bar to play it to see how it is. Now it's kind of fast. You know, it's like, whoa, that was a fast title. Just click on that title, and then you can basically just click and drag on the edge out to see how long you want it. So I would, like, you know, it's gonna be red on there. So I would ask someone who hasn't seen it before, say, hey, can you read this okay? And be like, okay, Happy Hallway. Yep, done. That was adequate enough, you know? And you can add some more credits like starring James Lee, and or produced by, you know, and then your name. And there's a lot of cool credits that you can do by, you know, like let's say my next clip, I want to use the headphone scene. So I just click, drag that in, And again, it's blue because it's labeling the type of keyword that I told it, or my favorite that I keyed in as. Okay, so again, here I could, let's say I don't want to use this whole clip, so I could take off some of that if I wanted to, and then I could just use this clip. And again, I could put another text effect here and put like directed by, and then put my name here if I wanted to. So a lot of good options you can do with your text effects for that. Now if you want to do transitions, so notice that it went from here to here. Now you want to make sure again that you're keeping the same style. So notice how bright this was and more subdued this was. You got to make a choice which one you want it to be. In this case, I want it to be more like this. So I'm going to click here, click on the options, and then go to your video adjustments, and then try to match those the color settings for that, especially if it's too dark. And again, if it's way too dark and it's too much green, I would just delete the clip and not use it, because it'll bring down your film, and try to change your film up or refilm that part. Okay, so we have our audio there. We have our nice shot here that I filmed. Just moving the camera like a dolly shot. Okay, it's going to go to the door. So now I have to decide, okay, what's going to happen next? Okay, and so for me, maybe, let's see, I'll have a student coming in here. So I'll take this shot, drag it in here, and put that. And notice, maybe I want to start him right as he walks in. So I'll click and delete that. And then maybe I want to transition the two. Maybe it's too much of a jump there. So you can go into your transitions. Usually you only want to do fade white to fade black if there's a big change, like if you say, and the next day, you know, or 3 years have gone by. One thing I want to show you guys is the effect. If you double click and go to clip, and then if you hit convert entire clip speed, it will basically quickly convert it so that you can change the speed of whether fast or slow. So if it's, maybe you want to show more of a progressive cut, or maybe you want to do more of a slow motion, I would actually just type in these numbers. You could also try reverse directions if you want to do a special effect for that. And you can do maximizing zoom, and make sure that smooth clip motion is checked, because that's really important if you're shooting with your hand. So yeah, the speeds are really, you can do some really fun stuff with speeds. Okay, let's say we detached all of our audio and now we want to put like different sounds. You can go in here to our music, and then there's a lot of different copyright free, which means iTunes says, hey, this is available to the public. You guys can use these for your things. Try to avoid more there's like a few tunes that are very popular. You always hear these certain tunes in iMovie's films. So try to choose something more common, but then also choose something that's appropriate for your now, here is iTunes. You want to go into iLife Sounds, and then there's also sound effects. So here's like an auto race. Whoa, that was fast. You see that? You could so you can add these effects. To add them, you just click and then drag them onto the clip where you want to use them. And again, I would use them sparingly, but you want to make sure that you know when you want certain sound effects to come in. For example, if there's a big change, like everything's happy, la da 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 da, and all of a sudden, more suspenseful, something happens. That sound needs to change and match that with it. So use some of those, either iMove sound effects or iLife sound effects. And if you just can't get the one you can find, there's a lot of free sound clips that are open to the public. So you can check out those. But I think the best way is just to go into GarageBand and find someone who can maybe play the piano or play different music and get just the right tempo and beat and sound that you want. That's ideal, and that will be especially unique and personalized. And then if you're going to use that, so for example, let's just say I have this clip of a bicycle coasting. So if you double click again, you can change the duration. If I don't want 10 seconds, I only want 8 seconds, hit OK, and then it automatically changes it to 0.8. That's too slow. Again, there's all of our options for audio again. You can do that. If you control click on your option, you could actually go a lot of different options here. But one thing I like is add comment marker. It's below, you probably can't see it. But in this comment, you could have like, suspense, and then maybe this is a key part to your film, and you want to make sure oh, that's going to be here, and maybe here you're going to put this is going to start off Act 2, so maybe you'll control click on this copy clip and then put add marker to this point and put Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 in different points that are really important for you to remember. So really use these clips, and you can see these clips right here as well for these markers. So this will really help you in helping. I was going to show you some more audio. So in your audio too, if you go to clip trimmer, you can get more of an exact audio session, and you can come in here and edit exactly the way you want it to. You can trim it more precise. So I would check out that if you want to make sure you get it exactly correct. And you can do that with video too, to get the trimmer. So let's just say you were going to use someone's music, and let's just say you wanted to give credit for all the people in your film. So you can click on your credits and drag them in at the last, and then you could choose, usually it's black credit, so I go with black, but notice 4 seconds may be too fast for this, okay, especially if you have more. I've always seen people that they have it way too fast and you can't even read the scrolling credits, so I would double click that and make it much more longer than 4 seconds. And then again, ask somebody to read it and say, hey, can you read this as it's scrolling through? And then I would change starring. You can just double click, and then you don't have to put credits. I mean, when you see names scrolling up, you know that they're credits. So you could just bypass the extra obvious. One cool thing, remember I said in iMovie and preferences, we have these advanced tools. I'm going to show you a couple of those things. One of the features I really like about iMovie is the precision editor. Let's say you wanted to take just a clip from our event library, and we're going to take this clip and drop it right here after he enters the door, okay? And then he's going to walk around the corner. So what you can do is click on the wheel and hit precision editor. And now in our precision editor, you'll notice that only this part is what we selected from our clip to use. This is not being used. But let's say we wanted to time it, so it's like right here we want it to start out. We can take this timeline and move it out and match. This is the transitional clip. This is what's going to happen the clip right before. This can also help if you see your video clip like jumping. You can mix it right next to it. If you click on this link, it shows the extras like titles and voiceovers. If you click on this, it'll show the audio. So what I can do is take this clip, drag it and put it right over the clip that I want it to be on, and put picture in picture. And what that is going to do is put a picture inside the picture. And what you can do is make that bigger or smaller. Okay, I'm going to show you more about replacing clips. Let's say I have my establishing shot. Notice this is about 2 seconds long. And let's say I'm like, okay, I don't want this establishing shot, but let's say you had music and you synced everything perfectly. And if you wanted to put another clip in there and it was maybe 3 seconds long, it'll mess everything up. So what you can do is, let's say I wanted this as my new establishing shot. I can basically just, I don't really have to like get exactly, just take maybe a portion of the clip that you'd want, drag that in on top, and then what I can do is hit, either I can put replace, and what that does is basically just replaces it and gives it the original time that I selected from the events. And so it'll notice I only selected 1 second, where this one was 2. Okay, if I do it longer and if I hit here and hit replace, notice it's the original amount of footage that I selected. Now, let's say I drag this in and I put replace from start. What's going to happen is it's going to start my footage from when I started the selection, and it's going to go all the way to this part, and it's going to stop there. Now, if you notice, I do have longer footage. Like, notice he walks off the frame, but here he comes here and it stops right there. The reason is, look, it's still 2 seconds, okay, and 5/10. So it kept that same amount of time so that it won't mess up. Like if we have a certain amount of time for our music, and it won't have a chain reaction and push the whole film back those extra seconds. Okay, you can also, if I highlight and I'm highlighting, let's say 3 seconds, drop it in here, and I put replace from end. Notice it's going to start on the end part. So notice he's like walking in from the and he's walking out of the screen, and then it basically says, okay, I'm going to make sure I get the ending, and I'm going to fill it in with whatever amount of space I had left. And notice it's still 2 seconds and not that 3 seconds that I'd selected. So it cut out some of the beginning part because I selected insert from end. 6-second clip, 6 seconds 14/10. And so let's say we want to insert this 4-second clip. Okay, and so but what if we didn't want all 4 seconds of it? We only wanted like 3 seconds of it. So let's say our music came in here and like 1, 2, 3. Let's say our music stops around right here, and we want this clip to go in from here to here, like this section of this clip. What you can do is position the insert, and if I want it right about here and I let go and hit replace at playhead, it's going to shorten it, but it's going to shorten it only to this point. So if you hit continue, notice that now it's about 2 seconds. And that's about how much time I had up into here. See, that was about 2 seconds that I replaced. So one thing you can do is, especially if you do cutaways, so if someone like looks, looks at something and you want to do a quick cutaway, you could have a clip and drag it into another clip and put cutaway. And what that will do is, here will be the clip, and then here it will cut away to this clip, and then back. So if I want to do a cutaway shot, which is especially in documentaries, that's really important. But here, notice that he's opening the door, he's walking in, or more appropriately, like if someone's talking and they're like, oh, what am I going to have for dinner? And what did I have for dinner last night? And you have a clip of the guy eating lasagna because that's what he had for dinner. And then it cuts back to the guy talking and like, oh yeah, I ate lasagna. I mean, that's what you would want to use for like a quick cutaway shot. So this isn't as applicable for mine, but let's just say he's opening the door, he's walking. So I'm going to just take this clip, and then if you just drag it into the file and put cutaway shot, you'll notice that it's right on top. So now as he's here, he's opening the door, but then it cuts away to this other shot here. So, and again, I can trim what I don't want. So here I can trim it. And notice now it's a lot easier. It basically saves space. And so here, what do I want for dinner? Oh, I had lasagna last night. And he's thinking about lasagna dinner here. And then it cuts back to him like talking, And so definitely use cutaway shots. Don't just put them back to back, clips back to each other. If they're just clips, and you're going to come back to that action. Okay. Another cool effect is a green screen effect. To do that one, let's say we have our credits here. I'm going to go in and file import movie. I'm going to import one of our just a simple green screen file. And so if you do film on the green screen, you want to make sure this green is very bright. Notice here in the top left there's shadows, like a little darker. That shouldn't happen. You want to make sure it's bright, and you might want to use like a light like this to like blast it and have even lighting on that background. So in this case, I'm just going to take it, and if you want to rotate it, notice it's like a little bit the wrong way. You can easily rotate it by just, well, first let's use it. So I'm going to click on this clip, put it in here. Actually, I'm going to undo that. I'm going to take my clip, hit the crop button, and then I'm going to hit this to hit crop, and then I'm going to hit done. Okay, and now I'm going to take this and put it right over my credits. And I'm going to hit green screen. Okay, so now notice that green screen image is right there on my credits. So now when I play it, notice this clips are spinning as my text is going up. So that's one way you can utilize it. And I could have put this green screen clip on an image. Like he could have been flying over the actor, you know, that works too. So another feature I want to show you guys is the clone effect. So let's say I have you take a picture of, or take a video of two of the same object, or maybe the same person in two different places. You want to make sure you use a tripod, and then you want to make sure the lighting is exactly the same and you don't move the camera. In this case, I filmed this little nodding monkey, and then I moved them over here. But the one thing you want to avoid is this green. You don't want any green in the monkey if you're going to do the clone effect, and I'll show you why. So I push this guy here, and I take my other guy, and I put him right on top of him. Okay, and then I hit green screen. Now you'll notice they're both kind of weird and bad, and so I'm going to actually delete it and delete that one, and I'm going to do it the opposite way if they both look bad. So I'm going to insert him here, and notice that this clip, it's not cropped. So when I put him into here and hit green screen, it's going to crop it for me. So what I'm going to do is, this guy looks a little bit okay, so I'm going to leave him, but I'm actually going to come in here and hit cropped, and now I can move these lines to where I want it to. So in this case, I want to move it here, and I want to move it here, kind of like that. Okay, so and the reason why this is blurry is because I had the light shining on him, and it was reflecting this green onto his face, and that's why you definitely don't want any green, because it'll look like that fuzziness. So now when I play it, they're both moving, but can you imagine? I mean, you could have yourself, or not yourself, but maybe one actor in the same place, and he could be in the same place at the same time. I know I had one student do a whole music video with this. She was like this two identities, you know, two very contrasting personalities, and Sharon did a great job. One of the best music videos I've seen, and she did use this effect. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. So iMovie, there's a lot of great stuff that you can use, and again, it's not of like just knowing how to use it, but knowing how to use it in terms of being the best choices for your film. When you are all done, you want to go to share, and you can just go to export movie. Now you could go to HD if you want like fully high quality, okay, so that's fine, but I usually just tend to go to large, just to see like first the draft, like to make sure it looks okay, because it'll take a while anyway to go large. And then I'll name it, choose my location, hit export, And then when I'm done, maybe I'll hit it up to YouTube after I'm done. So that's a brief tutorial on iMovie. Hope that was useful. Again, it didn't cover everything, but enough to get you started and for editing your film. And if you want to see your film and how it looks, like you want it to show your friends a preview, just hit this button here in the bottom left corner, hit the play button, and it'll have a big screen and it'll start playing some of your film for the big screen. And all these things are customizable. Like you can drag this down and make this bigger and make this smaller. So really get it to be comfortable. And again, I would make sure your event libraries are organized. You could organize these by days, like when you film, to keep them so you know, like, hey, I want it from last Wednesday. Oh no, I want Saturday's film. Definitely be organized and use your tools to the best of their ability. So have fun.